Hello, my name is Wayne Murphy, and today we're going to take a jaunty little stroll through the grim labyrinth of philosophy, or, as I like to call it, the art of overthinking until you ruin everything. Now, here's a fun fact for you. 45% of people say they question the meaning of life daily. Daily, which is either incredibly deep or incredibly concerning. Yet, 70%, a staggering majority, don't even bother cracking open a philosophy book. It's almost as if people would rather Google, is pizza a good coping mechanism, than deal with existential dread. And honestly, fair. But today, I'm dragging you down the rabbit hole anyway, because philosophy isn't just academic navel-gazing. It's the messy, awkward wrestling match between humans and the big, unanswerable questions. Let's start with the OG troublemaker himself, Socrates. Socrates, what a guy. This was a man who wandered around Athens pestering people with questions like a hyper-curious toddler who had just discovered the word why. Why do you believe that? Why are you so sure? Why is your toga that shade of beige? And people hated him for it. Eventually, they sentenced him to death. Over questions, imagine getting the death penalty today for being that one friend who won't stop debating pineapple on pizza. In 399 BCE, Socrates drank the hemlock and proved a point. Truth demands sacrifice. To live authentically is to risk everything, which is inspiring, until you remember that it literally got him killed. So maybe don't go full Socrates at your next family dinner. Moderation, I repeat, moderation. Then, we've got Aristotle. Aristotle, who was basically Socrates' intellectual nephew, but with a type A personality. Aristotle was like, okay, Socrates, enough with the chaos. Let's organise this mess. And organise he did. The man created categories for everything. Ethics, check. Biology, check. How to throw a successful toga party, probably. But here's the kicker. Aristotle's logical systems weren't all rainbows and puppies. The same reasoning he used to map out the stars also justified some pretty grim hierarchies. Like, some people are naturally rulers and some are naturally not. So, thanks, Aristotle, for giving us both astronomy and the intellectual foundation for bad workplace power dynamics. Fast forward to Nietzsche, philosophy's moody goth kid. He strolled into the scene like God is dead, which is probably the most dramatic mic drop in the history of Western thought. But, and this is important, he wasn't celebrating. Nietzsche wasn't like, yay, no bedtime rules anymore. No, he was saying, hey, everyone, without God, meaning crumbles, and we're staring into the abyss. And then he basically said, you know what, let's dance on the edge of that abyss. Which, I admit, sounds edgy and empowering. Until you realise that Nietzsche's philosophy was later hijacked and warped by some truly terrible people. Case in point, Adolf Hitler. Now, Nietzsche was not a Nazi. In fact, he would have probably gagged at the very idea. But his ideas, especially the concept of the Übermensch, the overman who creates their own values, were twisted into a justification for authoritarian rule, racial supremacy, and unspeakable atrocities. Hitler's propagandists cherry-picked Nietzsche's writings, conveniently ignoring his disdain for nationalism and herd mentality, and used them to legitimize the Nazi ideology. It's like quoting a vegan cookbook to defend a barbecue festival. The result? Nietzsche's legacy became entangled with one of the darkest chapters in human history, a sobering reminder of how philosophy can be weaponized when ripped out of context. Finally, let's talk Sartre and Camus, the philosophical equivalent of a moody indie band. Sartre was all. We are condemned to freedom. Life is meaningless, so you've got to create meaning. Which is like being handed a blank piece of paper and told, here, write your life's purpose. Thanks, Jean-Paul. No pressure. Meanwhile, Camus looked at life and went, this is absurd, completely ridiculous. But you know what? Let's embrace it. He's the guy who said, yes, we're pushing a boulder uphill forever, but let's at least enjoy the workout. So, what do we take from all of this? Philosophy isn't here to comfort you. It's not the warm blanket you wrap around yourself on a bad day. It's the cold bucket of water that says, wake up, face the void. Now do something about it. From Socrates to Sartre, every philosopher gives us a piece of the puzzle, but no one hands us the whole picture. Maybe that's the point. To search is to live. To create meaning is to rebel. So, the abyss calls. Are you ready to yell back, not today, void?